Welcome to the 4Cs podcast for SAP Business One, brought to you by Third Wave Business Systems. I'm Mike Ham, and my colleague Tyson McMurrin, bringing you a podcast that takes a deeper dive into the ERP system that is SAP Business One. We'll be hosting product experts and members of the Business One community, helping you, a Business One user, get the most out of SAP Business One. Welcome everyone to the 4Cs for SAP Business One podcast. Tyson and I are here for episode 7 and our first guest of the show, Craig Stockmal, CEO and founder of Focus Impressions. In this episode, we're going to be talking about connection, e-commerce integration with FocusPoint. And I'll turn it over to Craig to introduce himself and tell us a bit more about Focused Impressions and their product FocusPoint. Craig, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mike. Honored to be here as your first guest. Excited to have this podcast with you and tell you about what we're doing in the SAP Business One marketplace. We have an e-commerce platform that we've built exclusively for SAP Business One customers and helping them grow their business. So anxious to have a discussion with you.
And this is really a great time for it. No better one, as e-commerce is really taken a massive leap forward and become top of mind amongst anyone in the space now, particularly for Business One, as SMEs now more than ever are competing for business and having to reach customers online through the pandemic. You guys are really uniquely positioned to hit the ground running when all of the shutdowns begin to happen. You've been able to empower customers to continue to do business, right? To continue to reach those who are home now. Tell us a little bit more about what that's been like for you.
So as you mentioned, the increased focus on e-commerce, especially with COVID-19 and the pandemic, trying to find something that's already built that they can grow their business on the web through these challenging times. So it's really put a highlight on our marketplace. And what we wanted to do is let SAP partners and customers know that something's already built for their business, that they can just take their existing deployment of SAP Business One and port those relationships to the web so they can continue to reach out and provide their customers with products and information that allow them to grow their business.
Absolutely. Now let's jump in. What we'll cover with Craig, we're going to talk about how Focus Impressions has identified this need specifically in the Business One space. Talk about the importance of the integration to Business One, as Tyson and I have touched upon in a couple previous episodes, the need for that seamless integration and what that can bring you when you do it successfully. And then talk about what Craig's seen from B1 customers and what they're looking for in an e-commerce platform and what they can be most successful with. And as always, let's dive into today's quote and discuss this with our guest, Craig. Today's is, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And that's by Simon Sinek. Craig, tell us about this quote. Talk to us. What does it make you think of?
Well, as it relates to our business, I always try to keep that quote, first and foremost is that what are we really doing in our business? And we're trying to help SAP customers grow their business. And we're trying to keep it as simple as possible and help them grow their business in any way that they have deployed SAP. And so that's kind of how we go to market. We're really helping SAP Business One customers grow their business.
Absolutely. And Tyson, when you hear this quote, what are some of the things that make you think?
This quote jumped out at me and made me kind of reflect on why I got into the SAP Business One channel to start with, and that is what I do is use technology to improve business processes, and what does that mean with the why I do it? Well, there's got to be a better way. So I'm a colorblind accountant, so I just kind of like to make sure that processes are streamlined to the best that they possibly can be, and really leverage technology to the best that you can at that point in time. So using platforms like Craig's, really kind of jumps out at me, because it's that leveraging something that's already pre-built, and that's what jumps out at me, this week on this quote.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with both of you. And just working with you, Craig, and as a member of Third Wave, on some of the stuff that we've worked with on customers, the value prop really aligns, and it goes with this. When we work with a customer, particularly together, it's not about a dollars and cents thing. It's not about okay, let's get this product implemented. It's about understanding the needs of the customer. It's about understanding that business model, and I think that's allowed you to be really successful, is because you focus on that why, and the why comes from the right place. It comes from helping a customer be successful. Identifying a need, identifying a gap, and not about like I said, it's not profit driven, it's not revenue driven. It comes from a level of care. It comes from a drive of seeing customers be successful with what we do, and wanting to see more of that, and wanting to share that with other customers. I think that's huge to keep in mind.
And Mike, this aligns really well with the 4 C's as well. Because why do we have this 4 C's podcast? Well, it's because we want to be able to talk with the Business One community, the 70,000 companies that are out there, and be able to, showcase that it's not just about the core system. It really is about the 4 C's. Absolutely.
I could not agree more, Tyson. And with that, let's dive into your why, Craig. Why, what drove you to start Focused Impressions, and why just the Business One space?
Well, I've been in e-commerce my whole life, and when we built FocusPoint, our e-commerce platform, we were actually marketing directly. We were going to market directly, and we worked with a couple SAP Business One implementations, and really a light bulb went off, because we realized how large the marketplace was. As Tyson said, 70,000 customers globally. But what was really interesting about it is the partner had such deep relationships with their customer base. They've deployed SAP Business One. They know their customer's business. They have great relationships. So why not leverage those relationships and configure commerce solution, integrate our e-commerce solution exclusively with that marketplace, and take advantage of those relationships that can be brought to us from the various partners. So it all made a lot of sense as it was coming together. And so when we did the integration, we realized that SAP is very flexible. Business One allows you to be very, very flexible and configurable to your business. So we use the SAP tool set to integrate our platform exclusively with SAP Business One. And it really allows us to bring a lot of value to the marketplace, because now we have something that's already built for all these existing customers, and our partners have the relationships. So it's a really powerful message.
This thing that you talk about, the deep relationship that the partner has with the Business One customer, and you're completely right about that, Craig, because we at Third Wave, we're just deeply passionate about helping our customers through their growth journey. When I was doing implementations, it was always around you want to do e-commerce. Okay, well, what do you want to integrate? Okay, well, we can pull the orders in. Do you want to bring the customers in as well or not? And what about payments? And and it was like this big project, and meanwhile, like, the customer just wants to be able to just make their customer experience better, and they don't want to have to get into these deep development cycles. So a company like FocusPoint or Focus Impressions, and with the solution FocusPoint, it really kind of helps accelerate all that. So congratulations to you.
Well, thank you. But even in the sales cycle, it's so helpful to be working in conjunction with the partner. I mean, we do a nice briefing before the sales call. So we're not just giving a demo and we're not just showing a bunch of buttons and functionality. We know something already about the customer's business from the partner. And then when we come to the call, we can show them the e-commerce solution as it relates to their business, and things that are totally unrelated to their business are never discussed. And so the customer can envision exactly how the solution will work to them. And this whole e-commerce implementation doesn't have to be so overwhelming.
Agreed too. And I think you're more successful, right? When the customer has a great relationship with the partner understands what that customer's goals are and what they want to do with Business One. And then they can identify, a great partner in FocusPoint and Focused Impressions to help them achieve their goals, right? There's a gap here. We understand what this customer wants from Business One, what they want to do with their own business, and it helps that communication, right? There's one of those C's. It helps the communication flow much better when the partner understands what the customer is trying to achieve. So you can really bring that to that discussion, and the customer is a lot more successful when everyone's on the same page. When the customer is just a number and that relationship isn't as strong, then that's where you're going to see gaps, and that's where you're going to see miscommunication. And that's what I think has really led to a lot of success in working with you, Craig, and it goes all the way back to the quote. It's the whys are aligned, right? The why we do this, and ultimately it's for customers to be successful and customers to realize their business goals.
Exactly, and the other part of the reason that we've integrated with SAP Toolset is the partner can support the integration. They know the toolset, they know exactly how the integration has been deployed, and we're just configuring this integration for their business solution that they've deployed it with Business One. So it all fits together in a nice puzzle, and we can support each other through this relationship, and the customer doesn't have to feel like they're using all this different custom development, and every time they change something, they'd have to spend more money to adjust that development integration. And so it fits really nicely together as we're deploying this solution in conjunction with the partner.
And I'm glad you mentioned that too. You and Tyson both brought up the term custom development. As for the listeners out there who may be considering an e-commerce platform, talk to us about the differences between custom development, and talk about kind of a two-part, how can they identify when it might be time to make the move to an e-commerce platform?
Well, I think in terms of making the move to an e-commerce platform, I think every business is ready in some way, shape, or form to grow. And I think there's some trepidation with, boy, we've really built some specific business processes here in SAP for our business. How do we make it easy to port those business processes that we develop for our customers to the web? And I assume they assume it would have to require some custom development. But in reality, because they do have a platform that's exclusive to their ERP, we can we can configure that for them, and they do not have to custom develop it. Many of the big platforms that have been highly successful in the marketplace have to be able to work with various ERP systems. So they have a basic integration, and then the things that fall outside the norm require a bit of custom development. So that's where we differ. We didn't have to build an integration that can be applicable to all different ERP systems. We're exclusive to to SAP Business One. So it's not such an overwhelming task to deploy an e-commerce solution.
And I think that's important for the ecosystem to understand too, because I personally have run into customers, as the community director of the Biz One conference, and now here at Third Wave, I've heard customers say, I didn't even know something like this was out there. And that's the thing. It's like it's the awareness, and it's the understanding that, there are tools out there, FocusPoint, that can do these things that, you would only think of as something that had to be custom developed, but there's, you have something that integrates specifically and only with SAP Business One, in FocusPoint, that can allow you to do a lot of those things that otherwise you wouldn't think are possible. And I'm glad we have this platform to discuss this and bring that awareness to more and more customers.
Well, we purposely went through a very diligent certification process with SAP before we went to market heavily. And I think we needed to do that. We needed to get certified across the board so that SAP understood how we did our integration, how we utilized their tools to do it, how we use our configurator to manage the integration. And that takes a while, as you know, to go through that whole process. But I equate it to a drug getting certified to go on the marketplace. It may take a couple of years to go through that certification process and to be approved. But once you have that, it takes all that off the table. And now you have a solution that's built for your business.
Well, and I think this is where, if you're wanting to change the way that you do e-commerce, or if you want to enter into the e-commerce world, a lot of people don't even know where to really start. And historically, the marketing department kind of drove the decision around, the web presence, and now, the marketing department's part of the boardroom discussions. And it's really around the customer experience, I find now, Craig, where the leaders of business are really thinking about, is it easy to do business with my business? And then further to that, internally, there's this reflection of stop rekeying. And, we've talked about it a lot, Mike, where the rekeying, and anytime that, the core is not aligned with what's happening, elsewhere within your organization, that period of disconnect can cause a lot of issues. And especially if you're, on an e-commerce platform and you have a product that's, selling out very quickly, being able to respond to that in a real-time fashion and not 2 days later is critically important. So, these are the things that, historically, custom development cycle, it's something that an SME doesn't even want to go into. And, it's like, oh, well, we'll just rekey everything. And having a platform with a configurator that basically all you're doing is pointing your connections and bringing over your pricing strategies that you've spent so much time configuring in SAP Business One and being able to map those into your e-commerce. Now you're really empowered as a SAP Business One company to leverage your e-commerce presence.
I agree, Tyson, and it's interesting you talked about the customer experience, because one of the things we've seen over the last year is there initially, especially during the pandemic, was a rush to get customer portals up and running and allowing customers to view their inventory, to pay bills online, and to reorder things that they've ordered from the past, and their business partners can all have an easy access to doing business during this time, where they used to deal directly with a customer service representative. But then as these customer portals evolved, everyone in their daily lives have been very used to the Amazon user experience, where it's simple and easy, but it also points you in a direction for additional purchases. So we're seeing a lot of B2B customer experiences have a little more and more and more of B2C look and feel, where they're constantly recommending additional products, recommending times to reorder because they've reordered this number in the past, that's this month in the past, and they're up for reorder. So they're figuring out that they can integrate some B2C experience into their B2B portals as this whole market grows.
that whole experience before, Craig, was really expensive for a small mid-sized business to implement.
Exactly. And it's hard to scale your business, and it's hard to have it be sustainable when you're constantly funding custom development, because your business is changing and you're changing your ERP to accommodate your business needs, and that constant funding of development costs really have negatively impacted the ability to grow.
So talk a little bit about your configurator and what a typical implementation would look like for an existing SAP Business One customer that wants to use a product like FocusPoint.
So we have a lot of the answers to the test from the partner by the time we really engage with your customer. So we know exactly what business they're in, how they've configured SAP, and we can really, we really literally have a checklist of what we go through with the customer. The longest time frame, if their SAP Business One database is in great shape, we can onboard a customer very, very quickly. We onboarded one of the largest SAP global customers that have 20 business units and 21 SAP databases in a 5-week time frame last year in 2020. That's how quickly you can move if the SAP database is in great shape. Really, a lot of the time is taken from the aesthetics portion. Just everybody being comfortable with the look and the feel and how they want to convey their e-commerce site. We have many templates that they can choose from, but sometimes the more choices you give, the more time to make decisions it takes. So we try to compress that time and try to bring a couple look and feels very, very close to what they're doing today, unless they want to totally change that. And pretty much most of our projects run, we say less than 60 days, but that's based on what the customer's requirements are and how quickly they want to move.
Yeah, and that's a great segue to talking about the project implementation into one of your customers' iSlide. Now, walk us through what this project was like. What were their needs going into it, and what did the implementation process look like, and what did it look like after?
iSlide's a great customer. As some people may know of them, they were on Shark Tank, and he declined the funding on the Shark Tank.
I remember. And
it was a fun. He was actually on with Antonio Brown, one of the NFL receivers. So they make custom footwear, custom slides, and they have a nice B2C site, and but most of their business is through their licensing. They're licensed with most of the major league sports teams, Major League Baseball, NBA, soccer, I believe, lacrosse, and then they do a tremendous amount of team sports, both on the local level, but on the college level, and they do a lot of event type of promotional slides. So as you know, when you're ordering slides, you have custom artwork according to your specific branding, and then you have all different sizes and all different customizations on the slide. So that whole process represented 80% of their business, but that whole process really occupied about 80% of all their workforce in terms of taking customer service calls, going back and forth with email, the sales reps going back and forth with client care, trying to get all the sizes and artwork together so they could make large batch production. So what we did was we built what they call a bulk order processing site, and it allowed them to create a microsite for the organization, the team, the college, the university, with the branding all on the site, and they had some specific choices related to that branding. They would choose the branding, and they would have some options about how to handle the ordering process for the sizes. They could either use a grid that we have right on the screen that allows them to order multiple sizes, multiple orders in each size, or they can upload an Excel spreadsheet if there was additional personalization regarding names and whatnot on the slide. So all of this allowed them to really simplify the ordering process, which was the major part of their business. It allowed them to grow exponentially because they weren't having to add customer support people for every batch of new organizations that they onboarded, and it cut their order processing time by 80%.
I can imagine on an order process like that. I just finished going through this with my daughter's school, and it was a paper form that got sent back where we'd handwrite in what we wanted for the personalization, and I can imagine that the amount of keying of data has been eliminated, and from the team perspective or the school perspective as well, I would imagine that their experience is a lot better too, because now it's like you can just go onto this microsite as you described and have that centralized piece of information where everything is. I don't have to worry about losing the Excel file or losing these paper copies or spilling coffee on it. Or I would imagine that iSlide probably has way less returns now because there's not transposition of names or numbers, on the customized piece of the slide, because all that entry is being done at the source now. So, this is a good example, Mike, of what we talk about all the time about, capturing that data at the source. And Craig, you talked about it. Now these people that were busy rekeying and verifying and validating and stuck in this email hell where they're passing information back and forth via email and clarifying and finalizing. Now your fulfillment's going to be faster. Your throughput's going to be faster. Your RMAs are going to go down. All of this because you put in this microsite that allows, a school to enter their information in at the source. So this is amazing, to hear a story like this, Craig, because this is exactly what we talk about on the 4 C's, is just that eliminating all the touching. And what that allows you to do is grow. Exactly.
And they couldn't grow without adding people. There was just so much administration involved with selling to these colleges, universities, teams, and even when you had small local organizations, it even made it more difficult because there was so much complexity in every one of these different relationships. And now creating the microsites has really allowed them to streamline all their processes as it relates to all these bulk large orders.
Absolutely, it just goes to show you the best practices, right? Well, like you said, Tyson, what we talk about in the 4 C's, this is it. This is it in action. This is identifying your customer's need to scale, right? Identifying their goal to grow their company, and then working with a partner and focused impressions to make those goals reality. How do they do that? Okay, well, they connect to the core, SAP, tying everything back with a seamless integration, something that's built specifically for SAP Business One. All right, and then after that, what are we doing? We're looking to automate tasks, and we're looking to eliminate, like you said, eliminate the paper. Eliminate the manual tasks, eliminate the redundancies of rekeying information. All right, those are all steps to the best practices. And then it puts iSlide in a position to take on more partnerships, right? Because you're not going to be able to grow. iSlide's not going to be in that position to work with the NBA. Right, if they don't have the ability to take these large orders in, if they're still worrying about manually entering in everything twice, they're not going to be in a position to take on added partnerships, and that's what this has allowed them to do. This is literally a textbook case of following best practices and seeing where it can take you. Craig, let's take a look at another example. The Torsion Group and what you did with them as far as and how it differed from the iSlide project, the iSlide integration. Walk us through this.
Well, Torsion Group is out of Cleveland, Ohio, and they have a company that's owned by a private equity group and that owns Torsion, but they've also acquired a number of different companies, and they're basically in the garage door business and all the parts associated with garage doors. And they had a primary e-commerce platform that they wanted to use a B2B solution with, and they chose FocusPoint. But they also had other companies that they acquired, and they also sold through Amazon. And they wanted to leverage the FocusPoint integration with SAP Business One, which was obviously the ERP for all of their companies, leverage that integration and use that integration across all their web stores. So we implemented FocusPoint as the integration point for not only Torsion, but Action Industries, Amazon, and their direct sales force through 3D Cart and the Yahoo Cart. So we had 4 integrations utilizing 4 e-commerce stores utilizing FocusPoint into SAP Business One.
So
Wow.
this is where all that multi-channel selling is all linked back to the core in a real time through a single point of integration.
Exactly, and so the inventory is displayed in real time. That's available, and obviously, depending on the profile that's set up in Business One, inventory is allocated accordingly. And we're seeing more and more of this. This is a little bit unique in that it's a private equity situation where there's a lot of acquisitions of companies, but pretty much most companies are looking to sell through Amazon, eBay, Wayfair, Walmart, and utilizing our integration to handle selling through those multi-channels.
If you're acquiring, competitors, and if you need to be able to, quickly get all of this information streamlined, if you're in a custom dev cycle and trying to pull all of that in, and the developer that you hired is on another project, and it's going to be months before you can get this company into the fold, the acquisition costs just astronomically increase. And also the level of frustration in regards to being able to assimilate all those people into a single organization, with a single mission around customer service and customer experience. That's hard to do if you're constantly stuck in this trying to integrate everything. So the single platform thing is really, really outstanding, because not only does that allow you to sell across multiple channels, but it also allows you to bring other pieces into the fold very quickly and rapidly. So if I acquire a company and I already have everything kind of set up, the cost of acquisition is going to fall substantially.
Okay. Tyson, one of the reasons we've got involved with SAP Business One was the feedback that we had from so many customers and so many partners like yourself at Third Wave was that the cost of integrating an e-commerce solution was often exceeding the cost of implementing the ERP solution. And that's just not a sustainable cost. With all the development required to customize the e-commerce solution to the business, it exceeded the cost of the ERP. So what we wanted to do is take those costs off the table and provide an e-commerce solution that allowed customers to grow their business without incurring cost. So they never have to worry about upgrading SAP to the most current version so they can utilize the most current functionality to help run their business. There is no integration cost additional for the e-commerce solution. They pay a monthly subscription fee, and that monthly subscription fee applies to any version of SAP that they're running and can be upgraded at any time with no additional cost. So that is a large value for partners and it's a large value mostly for customers as well, because I know that a lot of the partners shared with us that many customers don't want to go through an upgrade because of all the customizations they had that were involved with the previous implementation. And that's really off the table with FocusPoint and our e-commerce solution.
Talked about iSlide's ability to grow organically and Torsion Group's growth through mergers and acquisitions. Craig, talk to us about the two different ways companies can grow and the success that you've seen with using an e-commerce platform to do that.
Well, I think that the beauty of having a fully integrated platform like this is now if you say, okay, we want to take our business to eBay, to Amazon, and we can grow this with our existing footprint, with our existing support personnel, and without having to add cost. And that is a real powerful message to follow up on what Tyson was saying. Many companies are have both a B2B solution, a B2C solution, and a D2C solution. And it's allowing people, organizations to grow at a rapid pace without having to scale the organization from a people perspective to fund that growth, to fuel that growth.
And I like that because it allows, I guess what I want companies listening to understand is that it doesn't matter where you are in your journey of growth. It doesn't matter how you're growing, is that you can be tremendously successful using a product like FocusPoint. And it doesn't matter how far along in the process you are, however many platforms, that you're using or where you have a hand in. There's a number of ways that an e-commerce integration can allow you to be successful. And I think that's important to understand because some companies out there may not think an e-commerce platform is for them, or it may not add enough. These two examples dispel that notion, right? That it really shows you truly, no matter where you are, implementing this is going to ultimately help you achieve what I'm certain every business's goal is, and that's to grow, to reach more customers. So, Craig, where can we find you? Where can we find other resources and things? Where's your page? And if we want to reach out to you directly too.
Well, our website's focusedimpressions.com, but we mostly sell all of our relationships to partners like yourself. We're honored to be partners with Third Wave. We're also on the SAP Partner Portal and Partner Edge, I should say. And we're just really, really excited about being part of this ecosystem and the value we bring to the SAP Business One customers globally. So I really thank you for having the opportunity to speak with you today in your podcast and being your first guest. And you guys are doing a great job with this podcast. I thank you very much.
Oh, Craig, well, we appreciate it. Like we touched upon it, it's always great to work on these projects together. And I think it brings tremendous success to the customer when everyone understands what page we're on. And with that, Craig, we thank you. Tyson, thank you as well. Listeners, thank you very much. We appreciate you joining us. Particular Craig, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your expertise on everything e-commerce related and how Business One customers can be successful. Tyson, thank you for joining us as always, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Craig. And
thank you, guys.
Take care and stay connected.